Before we begin, just obviously little brief disclaimers. We're a regulated environment, so we got to throw these up here. We don't provide any type of tax advice. We do not. We're not attorneys. We're not accounting advice. Majority or decent amount of this information was helped prepared by the Allianz Insurance Company. We're not affiliated. We're not representatives of them, but we do have to give them credit for some of the slides that are here. A little bit about CIG, what we do. For those of you who don't know, although looking around the room, I think most of you do, we're a wealth management and financial planning firm. We were based, started actually in 1997 by Osman Minkara, and we've since grown to the stature that we are now. We focus in on wealth management and financial planning for our clients. And quite frankly, what does that mean to you? That means we look out at all facets of your management. So we're going to be today talking a little bit about Social Security, which is one piece, but again, that's one piece to the overall puzzle to say how can we make sure that we grow, protect, and then ultimately look to transfer or your wealth, and how do we continue to move from there. We'll talk a little bit about the basics. Before we get there though, there was a study that was done by the Employer Benefit Research Institute, and what they did was they went ahead and they polled both workers and retirees, and they said, based off of your thoughts and your feelings, where do we feel we're going to be getting money from once we hit retirement? So is it Social Security? Is it employment? Is it your traditional IRAs, savings accounts, bank accounts, that type of stuff? And some interesting statistics kind of came out of this. And when they polled workers, they felt 79% of the workers felt that Social Security is going to provide some sort of benefit, but 46% thought it's going to be really a minor source. So in other words, from a psyche standpoint, they're like, Social Security, everybody says, well, it's going to be there, is it not going to be there, I don't know. I'm not going to count on it. And when they polled that same group, once they get into retirement, they realize, well, wait a minute, 89% said, yes, it's something that's very important. And more importantly, it's a major source of income to them. Now keep in mind, this is a broad-based study, but there's a nice little dichotomy that's going on there. So when people are working, it's kind of like it comes out of your check, it goes in there, I don't care. But once they get into retirement, they're like, wow, okay, I'm really actually getting something. And then again, if we walk down through, another one to point out, you look at IRAs, when you're currently workers were polled, 65% said that they're going to get some source of income from the IRAs. They're going to say it's probably minor, but in reality, 41% said once they're in retirement that's the source of their income that they're relying on. And excuse me, only 15% that said it was going to be a major source. When we look at polling Social Security, currently 59 million Americans will receive benefits in 2014. Huge number, okay? And of that number, 69% of them are retired workers and their dependents. People may not realize that Social Security also covers for the disabled and their dependents, and then survivor benefits. And on average, and this is across against all 59 million Americans, they're going to be receiving anywhere between $1,300 on the high side and probably around $1,100 on the low side of a monthly benefit for each individual worker and retiree. Now, one of the most common questions we get is it even going to be there? When we sit down and we meet with clients and we start doing retirement planning and forecasting for them, I'd say odds are 9 times out of 10 when Social Security topic comes up, they're like, guys, is it even going to be there for us? Is it really there? And I guess the answer is it depends. When we look at it, the way the system currently is funded right now, by 2033, the system's out of money, okay? There's going to be technically no benefits. That assumes they're not putting anything else in. Now, one of the nice things is, and you can thank all the younger workers in the world today, is that they're still funding the system. But even with that funding, they're still only going to be able to cover roughly 77% of that benefit. So there's still a shortfall. That 33% still needs to get made up somewhere. Now, what was that question? They say, Marty, is something going to be there? Odds are yes. If I was talking about my kids' generation, is something going to be there? I still actually hedge and say, yeah, something's going to be there. It's going to be completely different, though, than what we have right now. Because when you look at developed countries around the world, there's really no major developed country that doesn't have some form of social assistance for their retired workers. So I can't see the U.S. saying, all right, we're going to scrap it and not do anything, because it'd be probably political suicide for whoever even tries to say that. And you'll have everybody else up in arms to say, well, what have we been paying into for all these years, and you're telling me there's no benefit. So the reality is it's going to depend. There's going to be something, but again, what that truly is going to be is we're not quite sure. Now, the other next question that we tend to get a lot is, okay, Marty, how much am I going to get? You know, what does it really look like? And the government, like everybody else, is trying to get into the, you know, the technological age. So for those that remember, generally you would be receiving statements in the mail every, you know, technically it's actually every 5 years. But they now actually moved to an online system that you can go in and I actually did this for myself. You log in, you type in your name, social security number, date of birth, they find you in the system, and they can go in there and you can look at it at almost any time. The website's up here. I'm happy to email it out to whoever has questions, or if you want to type it down, you can. Or just go to Google and type in social security website, and then it will link you to, in essence, this page. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this is the letter that everybody's probably accustomed to seeing. Generally gets mailed out now every 5 years. It used to get out more frequently. Again, as I alluded to earlier, with the shortfall that they're doing, they're trying to figure out how to save money as much as possible. So what are they doing? They're delaying it. The other thing to point out though, if you log into the online system, you no longer receive the paper, okay? Again, cost-cutting measure. So if you think about it, and those that are in cost or quality control, saving, what is it, the 48 cents a stamp for however many million Americans out there, it helps. It adds up. It's not necessarily going to fix our problem, but that's one of the things from a cost-saving standpoint they're trying to do. The nice thing is, though, is once you do create it online, you can pretty much go in there and look at any time, as opposed to waiting every 5 years, and usually that little piece of paper gets shuffled down into the mail somewhere along the line, and 9 times out of 10 gets thrown away. So it's a nice little perk. From there. With that being said, we're going to kind of conclude the rest of the presentation. What I recommend for everybody here, if there's additional questions, let's sit down and talk. As I said, the best thing and the first thing I'm going to tell you to do, if we're going to talk specifically Social Security, go onto the Social Security website, print out your most recent benefits, make sure to either fax those to me or get them to me beforehand so I can run some analysis. So we're not playing what if, we're going to play specific to your situation, and if we can have these conversations to see what makes the most sense. Again, as we do our planning for our clients, this is something that we do kind of as an integral part of what makes sense, how does it make sense, and are we going to continue to work, or are we going to take it early from there.
Securities offered through CIG Securities, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services available through CIG Asset Management, a SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance services provided by CIG Risk Management. All are wholly owned subsidiaries of CIG Capital Advisors.